The message was loud, clear, and final. It came from the center of the galaxy, from the High Council itself, a powerful group of alien species that ruled over hundreds of star systems. Their voice echoed across the stars. There will be no more humans. Their kind brought fire, fear, and destruction. The galaxy must forget them, erase them from history. On thousands of worlds, the message played again and again. Some aliens cheered, some were silent, and some were afraid. They remembered what humans were. They remembered what humans did. Many believed humans were long gone, vanished, erased in the last war, hundreds of years ago. Earth was labeled a dead planet. No ships left, no signals, no trace of life, only ash. But others knew better. Some whispers never died. Stories told in secret, stories of human ships vanishing into dark space, carrying strange machines and unknown tech. Stories of human minds, so dangerous, even machines feared them. Stories of a warning humans gave before they disappeared. If you ever forget us, we'll remind you. But time passed, memories faded, and the council grew bold. One day they gathered in the grand chamber. The leaders of 10 powerful alien races stood tall, their faces cold and proud. They spoke of peace, of safety, and they blamed it all on one species, humans. They were wild. They were cruel. They did not belong, one leader said. They broke the rules of the stars, said another. They created machines that saw time. They made weapons that thought. They built ships that could hide in light. And worst of all, the last leader growled, they refused to kneel. So the vote was cast, the decision was made, and the council sent a final command. Erase every human name. Burn every human record. Remove every trace. From this day on, humans never existed. That same day, old monuments were torn down. History files were deleted. Museums were locked. Libraries closed. Some alien scholars cried. This is wrong, they said. History cannot be erased. But they were silenced. Or worse, they disappeared. It was done. The galaxy moved on, at least. That's what they thought. Far away, in a dark corner of forgotten space, a small alien cargo ship drifted silently. Its crew was bored, tired. The stars around them were cold and empty. Then, a sound. A ping, a signal, ancient, weak, and strange. Captain, the pilot said, we just picked up something weird. What is it? Looks like a distress signal, but it's not in any modern code. The captain leaned forward. Location? The pilot hesitated. Sector 9X, dead zone, no records. The crew fell silent. Everyone knew about Sector 9X, a place no one visited, a place even maps didn't mention anymore. Could be junk, the pilot added quickly. Old satellite or broken drone. The captain frowned. No. Set course. Let's see what's out there. Hours later, they reached it. Floating. In the darkness was a massive object. Silent. Cold. It looked like a ship, but not like any ship they knew. It was huge, at least 5 kilometers long. Made of dark metal, rusted in parts with strange marks carved along its sides. The marks were old, faded, but still clear. The crew scanned them. The results made everyone on the bridge freeze. It's human, the engineer whispered. No way, the captain said. Humans are extinct. But this ship isn't, the pilot replied, and it's not dead. What do you mean? Sir, something's powering up inside. They watched as faint lights began to glow on the ship's surface. A slow pulse, like a heartbeat. Then the ship spoke. Not in words, not in sound, but through the minds of the crew. A deep voice filled their thoughts. Calm, cold, unstoppable. You erased our name. You destroyed our memory. Now, we remember everything, the signal ended. The ship went silent again, but one word remained, flashing across their screens in every language ever spoken. Awakening. The alien crew stared at each other. No one spoke, and in the distance, more signals began to echo. Not just one, not two, hundreds, across the dead zones, across forgotten systems. Something was coming, and this time, the galaxy would remember what fear truly meant. The alien cargo ship hovered near the massive object. No one on the crew dared to speak. That final word still blinked across their screens. Awakening. The captain's hands shook. The others stood frozen, staring at the strange ship outside their window. It was unlike anything in their data archives. No known species built ships like that anymore. It was pure metal, no paint, no lights, no symbols. Except for one. A single mark burned deep into the hull, a circle of fire with a sharp line cutting through it. The ancient human symbol for war. "We shouldn't be here," the engineer said quietly. The captain nodded. "We leave now." But before the engines could fire, something changed. The alien ship systems locked up. Lights on the control panel went dark. Doors sealed themselves shut. The pilot yelled, "I'm not doing this. The ship, it's not listening to me." The ship had been hacked. No firewalls triggered. No alarms. Just total silence. Total control. And outside, the human vessel began to open. A long rectangular airlock extended slowly like a jaw stretching open. Inside, there was only blackness. Then, lights blinked on inside the human ship. Dim, red, pulsing lights. The human vessel had been sleeping. Now it was waking up. The alien captain stared at the screen. His heart pounded. He felt something in the pit of his stomach, something no advanced species wanted to feel. Terror. He turned to the crew. "Full armor. We're boarding." The crew stared at him like he'd lost his mind. "Boarding? That's suicide. We need to see what's inside. This isn't just history, it's a message. If humans are back, the galaxy must know. If this ship is alive, someone has to tell the story." They entered the human vessel. Through the open bay. It was cold. Dry. Dust clung to every surface. Nothing moved. The hallways were wide, made for soldiers in full gear. Strange weapons hung from the walls, some still glowing faintly after hundreds of years. The crew passed rows of empty seats, shattered glass, torn wires. Then they reached the command bridge. And that's when it happened. The doors sealed behind them. The lights went red, and something in the ship breathed. Not through air, not through sound, but through the floor. Boom, 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 like a giant heartbeat. The screen on the bridge flickered. A faded human face appeared. It wasn't real. It was a recording, long dead. But the eyes felt alive. The message began. "If you see this, then they've done it. They erased us, burned our names, buried our past." But we knew. We always knew they would. The message paused. Static filled the air. Then another voice spoke. Not from the recording. From the ship itself. Input accepted. Hostile presence confirmed. Awakening protocols engaged. The alien captain's hands trembled. What did we trigger?" Suddenly the ship's power core came online. Massive engines deep inside the vessel rumbled to life. Weapon systems blinked red on every panel. The ship was not just old, it was waiting to be woken, and now it was fully awake. One of the crew members screamed, pointing at the wall. Words began to appear, burning through the metal as if written by fire. "We are still here. We never left. You wanted a galaxy without humans. Now, you will see what that galaxy becomes." Back on the alien cargo ship, which had been left behind, the sensors caught a terrifying sight. From deep space behind, asteroid belts and dark zones, dozens of signals began to appear. Unknown energy readings, no identification codes, all heading toward central systems. One by one, Human ships, old and strange, came online. Some were massive, shaped like blades. Others were small and silent, moving without heat. One was so large it eclipsed a moon. All had the same message pulsing from their hulls. Awakening. Back inside the human ship, the alien captain realized the truth. This wasn't just a ship. This was a key, a trigger. By entering the vessel, they had unlocked something. He looked at his crew, his voice shaking. We didn't find a ship. We found a signal, a warning, a start. The bridge's screen changed one final time. A countdown appeared. GERG 59, 00058, 1 minute. Before what? Then came the final message, written across the ceiling in every known language. Tell the galaxy, you said no more humans. We heard you. Now, we answer. The lights dimmed. The heartbeat stopped, and the ship vanished. Not jumped, not warped. Vanished, as if it had never been there. But the countdown didn't stop. Across the galaxy, others were starting too. And this time, there would be no council to stop them. The first ship vanished, but it wasn't the last. In the days that followed, something changed across the galaxy. Outposts stopped responding. Patrol ships vanished without a trace. Entire satellites went silent. The council believed it was a glitch, until they saw the footage. A station in the outer rim had been monitoring deep space traffic. One of their last recordings went viral among the inner systems. It showed a dark shape in space. No heat. No light. No signal, just a massive object slowly moving through the stars, too big for any known vessel. Then came the sound. A voice, faint and cold, leaked into the broadcast. This space is not yours. The station went dark 11 seconds later. That was the first time the word spread. Humans were back. In the Council's war chamber, the atmosphere was tense. Dozens of alien leaders argued over the strange reappearances. This is a trick. Maybe pirates. No, this is something worse. Humans were wiped out. No, one elder said, his voice shaking. They disappeared. That's different. They're a myth, another shouted. But then, a message interrupted them. Not a call, a recording, forced onto every screen in the room. It showed a human ship drifting into orbit over a border world. No weapons fired, no soldiers deployed, just one signal sent to the surface. We heard your message. Then, the ship launched. A single drone. It dropped a black cube onto the planet's capital. No explosion. No damage. Just silence. Until the cube unfolded and played an ancient human song. A battle hymn from Earth's last war. All across the city, the music echoed. Every power grid shut down. All military tech turned off. No alarms worked. And then the cube projected one sentence. The council erased our name. We came back to rewrite it. Panic spread like fire. Multiple worlds went on high alert. Fleets were launched. Scouts were sent. Defensive stations were activated. But it didn't matter. One by one, those fleets disappeared. The scouts returned broken. The stations were left untouched, but empty. No sign of struggle, no blast marks. Just one repeating message burned into metal walls. We remember. An emergency meeting was held on Council Planet 3 that night. The skies over the capital turned black. Every moon vanished behind shadows. Then, for the first time in centuries, something unthinkable happened. A ship decloaked above the Council's main dome. No sound. No warning. It was a Terran vessel, but not like any in the records. This one was long and sharp, shaped like a sword, with silver hull plates that reflected nothing. No windows. No crew visible. It hovered silently, and on its side, a message written in every language known. Observation ended. Judgment begins. Within seconds, hundreds of alien ships scrambled to engage. But when they reached it, something happened that defied all logic. Their weapons refused to fire. Their engines slowed. Their shields dropped. Then the human ship sent one pulse across their systems. Every ship shut down. The aliens floated helpless, watching as the Terran vessel slowly turned and then vanished again without making a sound. Back. At the council dome, the leaders stared at the sky in silence. One of them finally spoke, voice weak. We forgot what they were. Now they're reminding us. On a mining colony deep in the outer zones, a young worker was watching the sky during break time. He saw a flicker in the stars. Something moved. Fast. At first, he thought it was just a shooting star, but then a second flicker, and a third, dozens. Then the stars themselves began to vanish behind massive shadows. One by one, dark ships took position across the sky, blocking out constellations. No lights, no noise. Just dark shapes floating, watching. Then, the entire colony received a single message in their native tongue. You said we didn't belong. Now we decide who does. The colony's main power core went dead. Communications dropped. Gravity shifted, and in the sky, something opened. Not a weapon, not a hatch, a door, a portal into something deeper than space. The miners screamed. Some prayed. But above it all, one thing became clear. The humans hadn't just returned. They had evolved. And now they didn't come to talk. They came to show the galaxy what forgetting them really meant. Back on the Council's command station, reports kept flooding in. More ships, more disappearances, and one haunting pattern. Every time a Terran ship appeared, it left behind no damage, no fire, no dead. Only fear and a promise. We are not the past. We are what comes after. The galaxy had declared there would be no more humans. But now, the humans were back. And this time, they were writing the story their way. They thought the humans came back with war, but it was worse than that. They came back with silence. No demands, no warnings, no flags or armies, just ships. Dark, cold, watching, and fear spread like a virus. On a deep space medical ship, Dr. Rail was treating a burn victim when the lights flickered. Power drops weren't unusual. The ship was old. But then the monitors went black. Not off, just black. Then the voice came. Not over the speakers. It came from inside their heads. You erased our name. Now, we erase your peace. Everyone froze. The injured patient sat up, screaming, shaking. The lights turned red, and outside the medical ship's window, a shadow moved past the stars. No one had called for help. No one had said where they were. But somehow, the humans had found them. In a starport near the Andari gates, travelers ran in panic. A message was broadcast in every language, from every terminal, on every planet linked to the port. If you feel a shadow behind you, don't look back. That's where we are. Civilians demanded answers. Military forces scrambled. Council leaders tried to calm the public, but nothing worked. Because now no one could tell where the humans would strike. They didn't just appear in battles. They showed up in dreams. Miners said they saw glowing human eyes in their tunnels. Farmers swore their machines started speaking Earth languages in the night. And soldiers. Some went missing from locked rooms, with no signs of entry. One Council spy ship managed to capture rare footage. It followed a human warcraft through an asteroid field. The Terran vessel did not use engines, thrusters, or light. It just moved, like a shadow sliding across water. Then, without warning, the spy ship's systems recorded something strange. Not one, not two, but 30 identical human ships appeared at once surrounding the asteroid, but they weren't ships, they were reflections, each one a perfect image of the other. And then the real one spoke. A single word. Why? And the spy ship exploded from the inside. No blast, no heat, it just cracked, like glass under pressure. The video ended with the camera facing a dark figure, humanoid, standing at the edge of space, still, unblinking, waiting. Inside the council chambers, the fear turned to paranoia. Some said the humans had never left the galaxy. Some said they were already among them, hiding as machines or shadows. And one ancient race, the Shivari, left the council entirely. Before leaving, their elder said something no one forgot. You did not win the war. You delayed the return. Now they have returned not as people, but as something else. On a moon base used for weapons testing, a group of scientists were analyzing an object. It had appeared in their lab without warning, looked like a sphere. Small, smooth, black. They poked it, scanned it, even tried to open it. Nothing worked, until one of them whispered, "Humans." That single word made the object spin, then it cracked. A burst of light filled the room. The base commander heard the screams from 10 floors up. By the time he reached the lab, there was no one left. Only a message written on the walls in blood-red light. You tested weapons to stop us. We became the weapon. He resigned the next day, and the moon base was sealed forever. Across the galaxy, species who once mocked humanity now held secret meetings. Old war generals came out of retirement. Religious leaders declared prophecies fulfilled. Children were taught never to speak the word human, but it didn't matter, because the humans weren't coming. They were already there. And now, they were inside the systems, the ships, the skies, the mines. The fear wasn't just growing, it was alive, and it was hunting. Back on the border planet of Vetra 9, the sky changed color, from blue to gray to deep black. All communications went down, and in the silence one thing happened. The stars blinked, one by one, like eyes closing. Then a single Terran drone landed in the city square. It opened and revealed nothing inside. Just a mirror, a perfect reflection of the crowd standing before it, and across that mirror appeared a final message. You forgot who we were. We never forgot you. The Council once ruled the galaxy without fear. Now, they didn't sleep. They didn't eat. They only waited for the next signal, the next shadow, the next Terran whisper. And then, the sky broke. It happened without warning. On the central world of the Council, a place once thought untouchable, the sky didn't flash or explode, it just cracked. Above the Council dome, in front of thousands of citizens, something impossible happened. The stars bent. A tear opened in the fabric of space, and from that tear floated a ship. It made no sound. It gave off no heat, but it watched. It was shaped like a blade. Its hull pulsed like a heartbeat, and across its surface a message glowed. Observation complete. I stood inside the dome. Panic broke out. Council guards raised weapons. Defense systems targeted the Terran ship, but nothing locked on. It was as if the ship wasn't there, or worse, it was everywhere. One council member, older than most moons, stood up trembling. I saw this ship, he whispered. Long ago, at the Battle of Red Rings. Another member turned to him. That was 300 years ago. I know. He pointed at the ship's markings. Same ship, same symbols, same silence. Then it's not a ship, someone muttered. It's a ghost. The lights in the chamber flickered, then went out. Total darkness, a screen lit up. It wasn't from their system. It wasn't under their control. It played a video, old, blurry. Human soldiers standing on a broken world. They weren't afraid. They weren't angry. They were silent, marching forward, unstoppable. The last words spoken in the video were from a soldier looking straight into the camera. Erase us if you want, but your future will be written in our shadow. The feed cut out. The lights returned. The ship was gone. All across the galaxy, similar events began. Council bases, emptied. Fleet headquarters, scrambled. In every major city, Terran signs started appearing. No one saw who placed them. They were just there. Messages written in glowing lines across the sky. We're not returning to fight. We're returning to remind. And then came the worst event of all. The first collapse. Council Planet 7 was home to the second largest. Command fleet, 500 ships, 30 defense grids, over 1 million soldiers. One day they all vanished. No battle, no distress calls, no wreckage. Just one thing left behind. A recording. A council officer, sweating, shaking, crying, looking straight into the camera. He said 3 words. They were inside. Then the screen went black. No one ever saw that fleet again. The council finally cracked. Arguments exploded across every chamber. Some shouted for surrender. Others demanded full war. One leader broke down in front of cameras and said, "We made a mistake. We poked something ancient, something that waited, something that learned." And then came the second blow. The humans spoke. A signal reached every system, every screen, every world. It was simple. Just audio. A human voice. Calm. Cold. You removed us from history. You removed our language, our faces, our honor. Now we remove your illusion of control. This is not revenge. This is balance. Then silence. But everyone who heard it felt the same thing. Not anger. Not hate. Just something final. Inside the ruins of the council dome, 3 words had been carved into the main floor overnight. No alarms had triggered. No guards had seen a thing. But there it was. You forgot us. We never left. We just watched. The council was done pretending. They knew now. This wasn't war. This was reckoning. And the humans weren't ghosts. They were the mirror the galaxy never wanted to face. The galaxy had seen their power. Now, it would learn their reason. The Terran ships never spoke twice. They never made demands. But everywhere they went, they left behind something strange. Not destruction, not war, but memories. And memories were harder to kill than any weapon. On a small research moon in the Elos belt, scientists found a strange object. It wasn't a bomb, it wasn't a drone, it was a book, real paper, human writing. No encryption. They scanned it carefully. The title made everyone pause. Why We Left. The pages weren't technical. They weren't even angry. They were full of short messages, like journal entries. One read, "They feared what we could do. We feared what we would become," another said. "We saw too much, we felt too deeply. The stars were cold, but our hearts were fire. So we left, to cool." The last entry said, "If this is being read, then we've returned. Not to conquer, but to be remembered right." The scientists stared at each other. One whispered, "This isn't revenge. This is a correction." Elsewhere, in an old abandoned station near the council's border, an artificial intelligence went online. No one turned it on. It just woke up, by itself, and began playing human music. Slow, deep emotional, a song of pain, of distance, of hope. Then it projected a message on the wall. "We gave the galaxy peace. You gave us silence. Now we speak with echoes." The AI then shut itself off, and the entire station powered down. Permanently. A Terran. Vessel was spotted above a forgotten refugee colony. No attack came. Instead, it dropped containers, food, medicine, books, old human tech, simple but powerful, and a message on the container wall: "You helped one of ours once. We remember." Kindness too. The refugees stared at the sky in disbelief. These weren't monsters. These were ghosts with memory, and not all memories were full of rage. On the edge of the galaxy, where light barely reached, the last surviving commander of the original human war fleet sat in silence. She had been in stasis for over 400 years. Now the chamber around her blinked awake. She rose, bones stiff, eyes sharp. The AI spoke softly. The message was received. The council erased us. She didn't ask why. She simply whispered, "Then it's time." Her ship wasn't a battleship. It was something else. A vessel made of living metal shaped by human thought. She walked to the edge of the command deck and looked into the stars. "This wasn't about hate," she said. "It was about being seen." Back in council, space, a historian uncovered something strange in a forgotten archive. a recording from the last days of Earth. It showed a crowd of humans, men, women, children, watching as massive ships lifted into the sky. The humans weren't crying. They weren't angry. They were quiet. One man spoke into the camera. His voice was calm. "They don't want us, that's fine. We'll go. But they'll never understand what they've lost. They fear our rage. But they should have feared our absence more. Because one day, they'll miss us. One day, they'll scream into the dark, and the only answer they'll hear will be ours." He looked up. Then the screen cut to black. The historian backed away from the screen, hands shaking. Now he knew. This wasn't revenge. This was humanity's return to history, on their own terms. In the deepest part of the galaxy, Terran ships began forming into patterns. They weren't random. They looked like symbols, words, stories, written across space itself. The galaxy watched in terror and awe, and finally understood. The humans didn't return to destroy the galaxy. They returned to remind it what they were. They returned to be written back into time. They returned to be felt, in the air, in the stars, in the silence after lies. And once they were done, the galaxy would never again say, "No more humans." Because, now they whispered, "They're everywhere." Across the galaxy, silence fell. Planets that once laughed at humans now kept their skies clear at night. Commanders didn't sleep. Soldiers feared shadows. No one dared to say the word extinct because they had seen the signs. The Terran ships, the ghost fleet. The memories that moved like wind through forgotten systems. But then, something different happened. For the first time since their return, a human landed. It was on a council-controlled world, heavily guarded, heavily armed. One human shuttle broke through orbit, not with fire, not with force, just presence. Every weapon locked on. Every scanner went red. The shuttle kept descending, and no one fired. It landed in the middle of the capital. Doors hissed open, and out stepped one man. No armor, no weapon. Just calm eyes and slow footsteps. The alien. Guards raised their rifles, shaking. No one fired. He walked through the city like a ghost, his shadow long beneath the twin suns. Civilians watched from windows. Mothers pulled children away. Leaders sent alerts to every fleet. Still, he walked until he reached the council tower. There, waiting, was the High Commander, the same one who once spoke the words, "No more humans." Now his face was pale. His claws trembled. He stared at the Terran in disbelief. The human stopped, just 10 steps away. He looked up and spoke 4 words. "You called. We heard." Everything stopped. No one breathed. The commander, voice broken, asked, "Why are you here?" The human's reply was soft. Too soft for a threat, too sharp for peace. Because truth doesn't die. He turned his head, looking at the skies. Above, cloaked ships revealed themselves. Hundreds of Terran vessels silently floating above the city. They didn't aim weapons. They didn't prepare to fire. They simply watched. And from each one, a signal pulsed. It spread across every world, every screen, every language. A final message: you erased us. You feared us. You lied to your people. But we never left. We were the silence. We were the dark. We were the truth beneath your control. Now, we are here. And we don't ask to be remembered anymore. Then the human turned and walked back to his shuttle. No one stopped him, not because they didn't want to, but because they couldn't. Fear had become something else now. It had become understanding. Across the galaxy, things changed overnight. The Council stopped speaking of victory. History books rewrote themselves. Human names returned to ancient pages. Terran science was no longer hidden. Children learned that Earth was not a myth. Even enemies, old proud species who once hunted humans, sent messages. We were wrong. Please come to the table. But humanity did not answer right away. because they weren't back to rule. They weren't back for revenge. They were back to exist without permission, back to stand without asking, back to be remembered without fear. Some said they evolved. Others said they became something more, beyond flesh, beyond war, beyond time. But one thing was now carved into the bones of the galaxy. Humanity wasn't gone. They had just been watching. And when the galaxy finally asked what came next, the stars replied with a whisper. They showed up.